Welcome to Communication in Canvas. My name is Brenda Gillis. I am one of the Tech and Innovation coaches if you haven't joined us for a session yet. We also have Mike Gizzo, another Tech and Innovation coach, and he will be monitoring the chat for us as well. Just a couple things before we get into the training. Just letting you know, today we are scheduled for an hour. I do not anticipate the webinar portion of the training taking more than about 30 minutes. We will have some time for questions, and then you should have time to work and try out some of the communication features we're going to share with you this morning. So we do have this session, Communication in Canvas, scheduled this morning at 9 o'clock, and then again this afternoon at 1 o'clock. And then the other session Mike and I are working on today is assignments, which in Canvas, which will be at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock today. During the webinar, for questions on today's topic, which again is communication tools in Canvas, please put those into the chat feature. If you have questions not related to today's topic, if you could please email those to us at edtech@powayusd.com. I'm sure Mike will pop that up into the chat as soon as he's done monitoring the waiting room. And we are recording these sessions, so please be aware of that. If you do have your camera video feed turned on, we are recording them. We are trying to process the video recordings as soon as possible, trim them down a little bit so you don't have to watch through these intro portions, and get them processed and loaded back into the Canva PD live binder that you all have access to so that you can go back and watch them. We try to do that within 48 hours. And I know sometimes it takes us a little bit longer than that, but we should have, I think everything's up now from the last couple days. More resources can be found at the PUSD Virtual Teaching Resources site. That is the same one that we started using back in the spring. Mike, did you have anything you want to add before we jump into today's topic?
No, I'm going to pop kind of like our agenda for today and links to some resources into the chat window now. So you all are welcome to go to that bit.ly link to see today's resources. Brenda's going to go through the agenda and refer back to those as the session goes. And just, I will do my best to get through the chat. Please understand there's over 200 of us in here today, so I will answer questions as quickly as possible. Thanks so much.
Awesome, thank you, Mike. I'll also check in with Mike, so if there's kind of a common question, and he's gonna let you know, Brenda's gonna be covering that in a minute, so if he doesn't respond to you, it's probably because it's a topic we're actually gonna be going over. All right. So I am in my Canvas course, and this is just a demonstration course here. Our focus for today's session is on different communication tools within Canvas. So we're going to go over user notifications. If you're using Canvas, we have some resources there. All users, so individual users, parents, students, teachers are responsible for controlling and setting their own notification preferences. So if you are going to be using Canvas as your communication tool, you're going to want to make sure to share some of these resources with your families. There's a guide. There's also a video that is available in the PUSD Student and Parent Resource Center for Canvas resources. So we're going to go through user notifications. We'll talk about announcements. We'll go through the inbox, which is the email function in Canvas. We're going to go through the calendar and talk about events as well as appointment groups. We're going to talk a little bit about the chat feature in Canvas, and then a couple of other tips or like quick check-in things for students communication-wise, something called context cards, and then some gradebook messaging options as well. All right, so first things first, user notifications. In your account in Global Navigation over on the far left-hand side, you'll see that you have a tab called Notifications. So again, all users, students, parents in the observer role, teachers, anyone enrolled in Canvas has control over their own notification preferences. There are defaults, and I don't have that doc up right away, but Mike, if you can help me remember, we'll add that to that resources slide for people so they know what the defaults are.
Sure thing.
I'm sorry?
I said no problem.
Oh, thanks. Okay. So you can see in notification preferences, the key across the top, the check mark, notify me right away, all the way down to the X, do not send me anything. The users will see their email address that comes over from Synergy in here. If they have added any other communication preferences, usually secondary students also add in their personal email accounts, so they'll get notifications in both places. And you can see the whole list here of the different alerts or notifications that a user might receive in Canvas. So if you're going to be using calendar or appointment signups, you're going to want to make sure that you have your users being notified of those changes that you add in Canvas. If you're going to be using announcements, make sure that you ask them to turn that link on. I'd say either notify me right away, depending on how you're planning on using them, daily summary, maybe for assignments, or weekly summary. And again, students might set their notifications differently than their parents, so that's all up to them. All right. Questions on notifications out there, Mike? Or are we okay?
Just as a reminder, and that each type of user has their own unique notification settings and can change their own notification settings, to reiterate that. So teachers, students, parents, all have their own.
Yeah, so you as the teacher do not have control over your students or their parents' notification preferences. They have to set those themselves. And again, we'll get that default info to you, just so you are aware. The default settings are going to err on the side of over notification. So just so you're aware of that, but we'll add that into that resource slide for you as well. Okay, announcements. I'm going to go into a course now and just show you at the top of this course. I have turned it on so that any announcements that I post to my course appear on the home page. If you're going to be using announcements, this might be a great thing to do. Your users will see them when they log in on they'll get an alert over here with announcements, like a little notification that they have a new announcement. They'll also see that on their dashboard. But if you want it to display at the top of your course, you're going to use your in-course navigation. I'm going to scroll all the way down to settings. And on the course details tab, I'm going to scroll down. The very bottom of this, I'm going to have something called more options, little tiny link down there in blue. And then I have a checkbox here to show recent announcements on the course homepage. And I can also decide how many announcements I would like displayed there. So it'll do the most recent announcement for you. So it could be one, I think it goes all the way up to like 15 or something. I'd recommend keeping that number pretty low if you're using announcements and you kind of want it to draw attention that there's like a new one here. And we'll, but if you want more than that there, it's totally your preference as the teacher. Then down at the very bottom, you're going to want to go ahead and click Update Course Details. If you don't want announcements to show there, you can still use the announcement feature. You can just unclick that box, and then they won't show up on the home page for your course. All right, I'm going to save that. And I'm going to head back into my home page. The other thing to remember for announcements is that if you see this little I crossed out here and you have announcements enabled in your course navigation, so settings, the navigation tab. This is where you decide which in-course links your students will have access to. So you can enable and disable. I know some of you are going to see Seesaw here. I'm just testing this. We haven't gotten it to work yet. We're trying. Over on the right-hand side, if I wanted students to be able to see or get right to assignments, I can click on the 3 dots and then just click enable. Up here, I can rearrange the order in which these go. The home stays at the top, but other than that, you can decide on the order in which these links will display for students. Anything you enable or put up here, you'll notice no longer has that I crossed out, with the exception, I'm going to save down here at the bottom, with the exception of announcements. Announcements won't take that I away until you actually publish an announcement. So you can create an announcement and then it'll appear for students once you've actually published it. So in here, I just clicked on announcements, add an announcement. I can put in my title. I have my content editor. For those of you that have joined us on other sessions, you'll notice this is the classic content editor. I haven't switched over to the new rich content editor in this course yet. That is a course by course setting. I can add in anything I want in here. I can embed a video. I could record a video using the media recorder that is built into Canvas. I can enter text in here, whatever I want to tell I could students about. If I want it to look like kind of a fancier banner, I could design something in Google Slides and embed it on or put hyperlinks into my announcement. You'll see that you then have the option of who you're posting this to. Could be all sections. You could, if you had different sections in there, you could post different announcements to different sections. If you wanted it to go to different individual students, you can start typing in their names. Not seeing anything pop up in here. Okay. You can also attach files. I don't have any students enrolled, so I'm not seeing anything there. You have options to delay your posting. And so you could do this ahead of time that you want something new to come out like next Monday. You can enable podcast feeds. That's a whole other thing. If you want students to be able to like, or they can't dislike, but if you want them to be able to like your announcement, you can add that feature on there as well. And then just click on save. Okay. Inbox is up next. I am going to leave that page there. I don't need to save my fake announcement. Over on the left-hand side of your course, you'll see this little inbox icon. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You'll see I have the notification there that I have some new, 2 new messages that I haven't read yet. And you'll see this looks a lot like just an email. You can filter by your courses. You can filter by your inbox. And then when you want to compose a new message, it's just the pencil icon. Again, you can select which course you're sending this to. I'm going to try and get one that has, I think, some student names in it so you can kind of see. And then I can click on to, and I can filter down to any other teachers that I have in my course if I want to message other teachers, students, or observers, different sections, or if I have student groups built in my course, I can filter that way as well. And you can go all the way down to the individual student level. You can include attachments, you can do recordings in here, and then you can also just click to include observers and remove students if you want to only communicate with the parents in that observer role within Canvas. I highly recommend, and it defaults to this, clicking the send an individual message to each recipient, just so that responses come back only to you as opposed to the entire group. The other thing to remember in here is that this is a great way for our elementary students to communicate via email. It's within Canvas, but email with their teacher. So they only have access to message teachers of courses in which they are enrolled. They don't have the option of messaging other students in here. It's just a communication tool to the teacher. Parents also have that option in there. All right.
Brenda, a question
Yeah.
that I think is good for the whole group. The question was, are parents automatically enrolled as observers in a course?
Yes, they are. All of the district enrollments that come through Synergy, all the parent information, contact information, or email information, doesn't have all their contact information in Canvas, but their email contact information comes from Synergy. And that is all in Canvas. So as soon as a student is enrolled in a course, even if you did a manual student enrollment, which I don't recommend on a regular basis, let us take care of your student enrollment via Synergy for you. The parents who have ed rights in Synergy will automatically be enrolled with that student in any Canvas course. Okay.
And one other question, Brenda, are students able to send messages to each other through
No.
that? They are not, correct?
No, they are only able to message teachers of courses in which they are enrolled. All right. Over on the far left-hand side, we're going to go into Calendar. One of my favorite features in Canvas is in here. We're going to talk about two different options in Calendar, communication options in the calendar. You may notice that your calendar takes a little while to load. It's loading information from all the courses in which you are enrolled. And for those of you that have joined us on some other sessions, you know that I have a lot of courses out there. So it takes a moment for my calendar to load. On here, you're actually going to see an example of the appointment groups or scheduler that we're going to get into in just a moment. But you can see, here's my calendar view. It should default to landing on today. You can toggle through months. You can have a weekly view or a monthly view, or you can look at your agenda. I don't have any events after this date. How exciting. You can also see over here all the courses in which you are enrolled, as well as your own personal calendar. So it'll have your name up there. Students have this, observers have this. They can add events to their calendar themselves. And then also you can highlight any other courses that you want to add. So I have my personal calendar on. And then if I want to be looking specifically at the course that I'm working in, I can highlight that. And that is a question that students may ask sometimes is, I'm not seeing my assignments. They just need to highlight, make sure they've highlighted your course in their calendar view. Okay, up at the top, I'm gonna go ahead and click on this plus button. The little toggle info pop-up says create a new event, but it actually does more than that. We are going to talk about events here. Assignments we're going to be going over in another session a little later this morning and this afternoon. My to-do is that place where you can add to your own personal calendar. Students and observers have this option as well. And then we'll go over appointment groups in just a minute, but we're going to start with events. So here I'm going to say we're going to have a welcome back to school gathering, right? So even if it's going to be on Zoom, I could put my Zoom link in here and set the date and time. And then I can click on submit. The other thing with events, and this is a great tool to use if you're asking students to do something on a continual basis. Maybe it's they need to read every night or something like that. You can actually repeat events. Maybe it doesn't need a due date in your course, but you want to duplicate that event. So you'll see I have some more options in here. Again, I have my rich content editor. So anything that pops up there, embedding an image, hyperlinking to something, inserting media, organizing in a table, bullet points of things we're going to cover, or an agenda. And then I also have the option of duplicating. If I click on that little checkbox, it is going to give me the option of repeating every week, every day, every month. So if there are certain things that you want to show up on your course calendar, You can add that in there and duplicate. You can tell it how many occurrences. If you want it to add a number on it, so count just means everything's going to be titled Welcome Back to School Gathering, but it's going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll just automatically add those numbers on there for you. Okay, and then you would just click on Create Event. Okay, I'm going to head back into the calendar. Any questions on events, Mike?
No, you can keep going, Brenda.
Okay. So again, my calendar takes a little while to load. Okay, the next one we're going to go over is group appointments or appointment groups. It's also called the scheduler. I think they're kind of transitioning the name in Canvas. So if you're looking in the Canvas guides online, this is actually referred to as the scheduler. And then in your actual Canvas calendar, it's called an appointment group. I don't know why. You can set up office hours this way. Again, you could add your Zoom link in for the location. I don't think it's hyperlinked in there, but you can at least have it in for students to copy and paste. And then you can schedule appointments. So if I'm going to be doing my office hours from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m., I can go ahead and put that whole time range in. I can set the date, and then I can set how long I want my office hours to be. So if I'm only meeting with students for, let's say, 15 minutes, I'm doing a quick check-in, maybe I only need 10 minutes. When I click go, you'll see that it populates those entire 3 hours in 10-minute chunks for me. So these are going to be all of my appointments. If I decide that I need to give myself like a moment to breathe in there, I can X out or cancel any of those 10-minute sections. So you can build the whole 3 hours out or however many hours you're holding office hours, and then give yourself some time in between some of those. The other thing you can do here is limit each time slot to a certain number of users. So if you really want to meet with individuals, you can leave it at 1. If you are doing like some small group work or you're covering a specific topic and you want there to be more, you could have a small group of 3 or whatever you might want to do there. That's totally up to you. The other thing is if you're allowing multiple users in a specific time slot, you can click to let them see who else has signed up, or you can leave that unclicked. They won't be able to see who else has signed up for that time slot. You have the option of limiting a participant to attend 1 appointment. So if they sign up for 1, then they won't be able to sign up for any additional appointments unless they cancel that first one. You can also increase this if you're doing like a check-in time where students are receiving support, and you want them to be able to sign up for multiple appointments, you can allow that as well. On the left-hand side again, under calendar, you're going to select the course that you are working in. So you want to make sure that you're selecting the course for the students that you want those office hours for, and then clicking on done. If you have student groups already built in that course, you can have students sign up within their groups. So if you have reading groups built or math groups built, or maybe you have like a writer's workshop feedback group, you could still build your office hours and then let students know they need to sign up with that group. So once you click that, it'll give you the option of what groups you want them to use for their sign up. In details, you might prompt them with topics you're going to be covering, or let them know that you would like them to be ready with any questions on a specific topic, or be ready to share something with you, whatever information you want to give them there. And then when you click on publish, this is going to take me back to my calendar view. And it's going to show me kind of like a grayed out version. Down here on the 21st, you'll see I have all of these office hours scheduled. On the student side of this, and we do have a video linked in the resource guide that Mike is sharing. He shared the bit.ly link with you, and we will continue to share it in the chats for those of you who didn't see it. I know things can get buried in there, and I know Mike is working hard to try and keep up with your questions. On the student side, they're going to see when they have a course selected that has appointments set up, they're going to see a find appointments button that they'll click on, and it will just pull up all of the available assignment times. All they do is click on it. They have an option of leaving you a note, and then they click on reserve. You as the teacher, when you go in, are going to be able to go back and click on that link. You can see who signed up for that event. You can see any comments that they saw. You can also get back in and edit your group if you need to make any changes to it. You can also message students and then send a message to. So anyone who signed up for that appointment, it defaults to those users. You can also, if you go into your group details, you'll see that you can edit in here again, and then you can also message students from the group editing. And then you have built-in filters in this messaging option. Users who haven't signed up yet. Hey, remember, there's a mandatory 10-minute check-in this week. Please be sure to check the appointment schedule and make sure that you sign up by Tuesday, or whatever your message is. Or if you need to make any changes, or you have users who've already signed up and you want to remind them of something, this will filter for you in those different groups. I think that's pretty handy. All right. Any questions on appointment groups, Mike?
I have one question, Brenda.
Yeah.
Is it based on, can you do it based on sections, or is it on the course level? Do you know that answer?
Let me go back to, let me jump back in my calendar.
And while Brenda's looking at that, just a point of clarity, the messages, like the email messages that come through, exist within Canvas. So elementary students or all of our students don't have to go into a personal email address in order to see messages. When they go into Canvas, they'll see their messages within Canvas. So it exists within that environment.
They'll get that notification over here in the inbox. If they do have a personal email attached to their Canvas, so if they have gone in and added a personal email account, they will get notifications in both places if they have their preferences set that way. So back at that first notification preferences that we went over. Okay, so if I am creating an appointment group and I'm selecting calendars, I think I have, let me try and get to my summer. I think I have groups and sections in this other course. So let me see if it'll let me in that one. I have too many. Oh, there it is. Okay, so my summer sandbox done. It's not, I don't see the option for selecting a different section there. So it looks like it's going to default to the entire course. Okay. Yeah. I will tell you that this looks a little bit different when you actually have live real students, active students in your course. And so we do have a video that models that a little bit better for you. So if you are working with multiple sections, you may just want to create groups for your sections as well. And we will be doing a collab and grouping session on the 24th at 9 and 1, where we'll go over what it looks like to create student groups. It's really a click and drag process. So if you're looking like at the secondary level, it totally makes sense to me that you would hold different office hours for different sections of your students. Then I would recommend doing that, having groups for your sections. All right. I think like 3 more quick things for you, and then I will hop into the chat and help Mike out, and we'll give you some of that work time so you can kind of go through and work on this as we are still monitoring the chat if you run into any additional questions. I'm going to hop into a course here, and a feature that is available to you in your course under settings and navigation is called chat. I would recommend having this disabled on a regular basis, but if you have students who are working on something, or you've got like different groups kind of running and students are doing some independent or some self-paced work, and you want to be available for questions, or you want to have a live chat option, you can enable chat. I just went into the list here of in-course navigation, clicked on the 3 dots. I know I'm pointing at Zoom right now. Again, we're still working on completing this integration. So you'll only see it in manually created courses right now, and we're still working on it. We promise we will communicate to you when it is ready and available. I click on enable to move those features into the student view, and then click save. So over on the left-hand side, I now see that chat feature. If I click on that, it's going to open a little chat window. I will be able to see anyone who is online on my user list. I can have alerts turned on, and I'm going to see this chat feed here. And you can see students start interacting. As the instructor, you do have a delete key right here, so if anything pops up. Again, this is part of why I recommend enabling it only when you are monitoring it, because this does go to everyone in the course. So you can delete things right away. I highly recommend going over digital citizenship with your students before you enable this. There's also a built-in emoji keyboard in here. And fair warning, Canvas is a TK preschool through graduate school program, and their emoji keyboard is not what I would necessarily consider elementary through high school age friendly emojis. There are some things that I would consider potentially inappropriate for students. So you might want to take a look at that before you decide if you want to enable the chat feature or not. And again, really emphasizing those digital citizenship, how to communicate appropriately online if you're going to be using the chat feature. You can always enable and disable. So if I'm not monitoring it anymore, I am going to go back into my settings. I'm going to click on chat and click disable, and then remember you need to save way down at the bottom. And that will turn that chat feature off until I decide I want to use it again, and then I can turn it back on.
Brenda, is that setting on the course level?
Yes, it is by course.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 2 more quick things, and they are both in the gradebook. So I'm going to hop over into grades. I don't think I have any in here, so I don't know how much you're going to be able to see this. Okay. So there is something in here called context cards. So from here, I can click on the name of a student, and it's going to pop up information about what they have done in the class. So we have more toggle buttons on here. I have a direct link to their messaging. I could look at their grades, a little analytic view of them compared to the rest of the class, these little 3 stars, how they're doing. any missing or late assignments. So it's a really quick snapshot view, and then that option to communicate directly to those students. So a nice way to to try and maintain and make sure that you're in touch with anyone who might be struggling with something or doing a fantastic job, and you just want to send out that message of encouragement, keep it up kind of a thing. You'll also notice that any assignments that you create in Canvas, you have an option to message students who, and this is very similar to what we saw in the appointment groups. So I have the option to message students who haven't submitted yet, if I haven't graded them yet and I want to let them know I'm working on it, but I need a little bit more time. Or another thing you could message students who scored less than, maybe here's some additional resources for you, or be sure you sign up for an extra office hours appointment with me. And then scored more than, again, if you select that, you can put in the actual point value or percentage that you want to include in there. This could also be a great way to just filter and kind of group your students, even if you aren't actually sending them a message, but to see a quick list of anyone who may have struggled with a specific assignment or topic, or anyone who may be ready to move on to a more challenging activity. And it'll just give you a list of all those student names. So I think that comes in pretty handy, just thinking about what students I need to touch base with and provide additional resources for. Okay, there are also in SpeedGrader or in assignments, and we'll go into that a little bit more in our assignment session. You can provide comments and feedback that students can view within Canvas.